the president's position, the same as what I would advise him, is to ask them to uncover everything so that we can see what is going on. I understand the witness protection issue, but at the same time, these witnesses are truly not going to be concealed for very long. That's just not the nature of the DOJ and the FBI, and unfortunately our country. There's always leaks. I've dealt with that even with, local law enforcement. There's leaks when there shouldn't be. So I think it's in the best interest so that the country can get comfortable to see what the basis was, especially from somebody who was cooperating, who was working with them, with his attorneys. This is not a reason to be blindsided.
The goalposts are shifting again in this ongoing back and forth with the FBI search warrant that was conducted on Mar-A-Lago. And now there you see one of Trump's attorneys talk about how now we want the affidavit, release the affidavit. Yes, we've shifted from nothing happened there to we've been cooperating with, we're still pushing the cooperating line. To then, hey, you guys released the search warrant, what you took. They did that as well. Now it's released the affidavit. We're gonna get to the reasons why that's a big deal in a second. But this also brought out a bunch of Trump loyalists, minions, elected officials even, to voice their support for Trump because that's the number one thing to do in the Republican Party now. So Lindsey Graham raised his hand and stepped to the front immediately to point out how he also agrees. Affidavit, let's watch.
Show your cards. Merrick Garland can't have it both ways. He can't give us the inventory, the warrant, without telling us why it was necessary to raid the former president's home, and there was no less intrusive method available. The affidavit should help us a lot understand what happened here. And without the affidavit, we're flying blind in the dark, and the American people are going through too much pain, too much heartache on this endless effort to destroy Donald Trump. It's time for the Department of Justice. They have no more benefit of the doubt, in my view, to turn over the affidavit so all of us can look at it.
They have absolutely no other recourse except to turn over the affidavit so we can all see it based on absolutely nothing, again, which we're gonna get to. But you did point out there, they could have had no less intrusive option available. Again, you see this continuous narrative. There's no other, they couldn't have thought of something else to do. Really, had no other intrusive option available to them. And also, the American people have been through too much pain because Donald Trump has been finally started to get investigated. In fact, what I've seen is the American people are celebrating. I guess it depends on which corners of the American people you're talking to. There's another guy. He does have some aspirations for getting to the White House in some kind of capacity. His name is Tim Scott, and he's from South Carolina as well. He made sure he raised his hand as well and said, you guys, I'm a loyalist too. Let's let Tim Scott talk about this.
Are you concerned about the handling of classified material at the highest levels if in fact there's not a paper trail that the president declassified those specific documents?
I am not. What I am mostly concerned about is the infrequent, inconsistent application of the rule of law as it relates to President Trump. Merrick Garland refuses to cooperate in releasing all the information necessary to understand what happened.
Tim Scott is not concerned with classified documents being in the hands of a former president when it shouldn't be. He didn't say, do you think it's there? He said, would you have a problem with it? No, I don't. What I have a problem with is them actually looking into whether or not he has it or not, and any laws he may have broken. That's Tim Scott's problem with this entire situation. He's so determined to back this guy up. Oddly, I'm surprised he was asked this question. So is there anything Trump could do? I think you guys might be able to tell the answer that Tim Scott had. Let's watch.
What would take you to the point where there was something that the former president did wrong in the handling of those documents?
It's hard for me to answer a hypothetical question because so far what we've understood is that President Trump says he declassified the information that was there.
I can't answer that question because my boss, Donald Trump, told me that he declassified the information. I can't look into that. I can't tell whether or not it makes any sense or not. All I know is he told me something, so therefore I must listen to him. And he wraps it up with the same narrative that we've seen already. We don't know why they did this so drastically. Yes, he pushes that too. Here's more of Tim.
In my opinion, the fastest way for us to understand this situation is to look back at February when they were negotiating, June when it was going fine, and ask ourselves the question in the last 7 or 8 weeks, what completely imploded that led 30 plus FBI agents to raid the president's residence.
Well, if Tim Scott was paying attention to the news, he would know what happened in the last 30 days was, yes, there was cooperation. They went to Mar-A-Lago, they got certain documents back and asked, is that everything? And to which his attorneys and he also said, yeah, sure, that's everything. And then they discovered that was not everything. And When someone lies to you and says that they did give you all the very classified documents back and they didn't, I think that's about the time when we go, something's up here. In fact, there's also reports now that Donald Trump reportedly said, why would I give them those documents? They're mine. Which of course would show the intent for keeping specific and particular documents in his possession. Really fast, was because the Department of Justice did have an explanation in case all these people who are now standing for Donald Trump want to know. This is why. It's very simple. In fact, I think they already knew. The DOJ is particularly concerned that the release of details from the affidavit might harm ongoing efforts to interview witnesses, given the threats to federal agents in the wake of the Mar-A-Lago search. If disclosed, the affidavit would serve as a roadmap to the government's ongoing investigation, providing specific details about its direction and likely course in a manner that is highly likely to compromise future investigative steps. That's what the US Attorney Juan Gonzalez and the Justice Department Counterintelligence Chief Jay Bratt said. One more part about this. The fact that this investigation implicates highly classified materials further underscores the need to protect the integrity of the investigation and exacerbates the potential for harm if information is disclosed to the public prematurely or improperly. You guys took in all that stuff that we just said, right? The reasons why the Department of Justice doesn't want to release this affidavit. That's exactly the reasons why Donald Trump would. You know why? Because he wants to know who it was. From this Rolling Stone article, I think about a week ago, Donald Trump is worried he may have a rat or multiple rats in his midst. He's wondering if his phones are tapped or even if one of his buddies could be, quote, wearing a wire. Moreover, at least on a couple of occasions since May, the former president has wondered aloud if there were any Republicans visiting his clubs who could be wearing that wire. That's a person close to this whole thing that told Rolling Stone about this. And the ex-president and several of his longtime advisors are trying to figure out if they have, in their terminology, a mole or a rat in his inner sanctum. It's almost like they want all this information to come out so they can find who it is and punish him in whatever way that they'd like to and not pay attention to the reality of this entire situation. All these politicians know this. All these pundits know it was. So I guess we're just gonna go with this narrative and not look at the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I just want to address Lindsey Graham and Uncle Tim Scott. Tim Scott specifically got a foot up his behind for not immediately backing Trump when this news came out. He said, I don't know, let's just let the facts play out and just figure it out. Then he got destroyed for it, so now you see him carrying water like a damn mule for the Trump cronies. But as far as the feds basically saying we got snitches and we want to protect our snitches, I think it's interesting because the last time Trump and people around him got investigated for crimes and all of that, none of them snitched on him. And because the stuff carried on until he was president. And then by the time he was president, he could spring them from jail like he did Manafort and the rest of these guys, right? Now it's like he's not president now, and there's absolutely no guarantee that he's gonna be president. So it's probably in these people's best interest to snitch. They can't guarantee a pardon from the president of the United States like they could in the previous Trump investigation. So I think it's interesting how the feds are playing this with their Trump turncoats.
This is the situation we saw from Laura Ingraham yesterday as well. It's positioning itself to find the best way to be advantageous no matter what goes down. So if it starts leaning towards Trump now gonna go down, or at least some charges that will definitely stick to go down, you have to make sure you have one foot out the door. But just in case something is actually still gonna go right for this guy, you wanna make sure you're still loyal to him because he will come after you if he still has any kind of power to do so. It's a fearful party. They're afraid of the leader of their party. It's the only reason he strong-armed them into these positions, and actually they agree with him. Let's keep it real.